Happy afternoon. Hello, I am Heidi here at Simon Says Stamp headquarters. We're here to talk about our biggest fundraiser of the year. And really, for the Huntington's Disease Society of America, it's one of their biggest fundraisers as an association. So today, you have the opportunity to purchase a $150 crafty parcel and get $300 worth of product, or purchase a $50 parcel and get at least $100 worth of product. And all of that is made possible because of our amazing vendors and volunteers, including Reed, who is here running. Thank you, Reed, who's here literally running upstairs, downstairs, because we are going to show you a little bit later in our broadcast. We're going to show you some of those parcels getting assembled and getting made. We already have been shipping them out the door today. And before I go too much further, I want to thank some of these wonderful vendors that have sent product. And I think I saw Tim and Mario on the chat. I also want to thank you because of all the brands you're a part of. Tim was the first person to text me today and to get us even more product coming for these crafty parcels. So thank you, Tim, and thank you to all these other wonderful vendors. We have Art Impressions, The Greeting Farm, This Calls for Confetti, Scrapbook Adhesives, Ink on 3, StencilGirl, Barely Art Glue, Stamp and Storage, Sizzix sent at least a pallet of product. Thank you, Sizzix. Tonic, thank you, Tonic Studios. Picket Fence Studios, Echo Park Paper, Gina K Designs, Kitchen Sink Stamps, Pretty Pink Posh, Colorado Craft Company, Scor-Pal, Avery Elle, Lawn Fawn, Alex Syberia Designs, Newton's Nook, Advantus Tim Holtz, also Ranger has product, Simon Says Stamp has product. So all of these brands have product that they have donated for these crafty parcels. Now, not every parcel is going to have something from every brand, but if you purchase a $150 parcel, the net proceeds of that $150 is going to go directly to the Huntington's Disease Society of America. And you are going to receive at least $300 worth of crafty supplies. And all of the crafty supplies are not used and new. Some of them are new releases. Some of them are holiday items to get you ready for the holiday season. Some of them are limited edition products that we release throughout the year. Gina K sent us tons of stamps. I saw some really cute Lawn Fawn kangaroo stamps this morning that my niece and my daughter were helping assemble some parcels this morning. Oh gosh, what else is down there? I saw sprays and stains and washi tape. A little bit later in today's broadcast, we're actually going to show you what one of those crafty parcels looks like. The Huntington's Disease Society of America is a nationwide organization. Huntington's disease is a relatively rare disease. It's considered rare. It's hereditary. And one of the reasons that I am so invested in this cause and committed to raising money to help find a cure is because there is no cure yet. My children are impacted. They have a hereditary attachment. I'm hoping that they do not have Huntington's disease, but if they do, we are working tirelessly for them and for anybody else, all of the families that are impacted by Huntington's disease. It's like having Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease, all at the same time, and Parkinson's. It affects your ability to think clearly, it affects your movement, and it impacts your mood. It's progressive, it gets worse, and it is ultimately fatal. So we need a cure. And you buying these crafty parcels, and the 100% of the net proceeds are going directly to Huntington's Disease Society of America, is to support the families and to work towards a cure. We are very lucky to be in Columbus, Ohio, where there is a center of excellence for research and in Huntington's disease, fighting and finding a cure. Today, I'm going to do something for the first time. We have a very special guest, Nina Marie Trapani. Nina will be joining us, and she is going to be teaching me live. So we are going to make a quick card for you online here, and if you're watching us on rewatch, there will be links in the below. I'm going to close this computer. There'll be links below on this YouTube video on how you can purchase a crafty parcel while supplies last. I will say last year we sold out in under a week, so you want to act quickly. We have a very limited amount of supplies, and last year we raised almost $300,000. And so I hope that that's helping make a difference in finding a cure. So is this a good time, Reed, for us to bring on Nina? We'll say hello to Nina. Make sure, hi Nina, thank you for joining us live.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to actually do this because I've never gotten to teach you live before.
I've never been a live student before either, so the pressure, I've got a whole bunch of samples made ahead of me and pieces and parts, so if I mess something up, I can come in. If anybody wants to learn more about HDSA and our fundraising, Nina did an excellent video. You can look on our YouTube channel, the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel, and she talked quite a bit about the founder of HDSA, Woody Guthrie's wife, Marjorie Guthrie, and other parts of Huntington's disease, and it's a very informational video about HDSA. Today, though, she's going to be teaching us how to make a card, because you know when people are impacted by any kind of devastation, any kind of sadness, the best thing we can do is support them. And one way to support people is to make them a handmade card.
Absolutely.
So, you ready to go?
I am ready, yes.
I hope so.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, come on, we've made stuff together. We can do it live.
Yes, we have. Look, Nina's very different.
So I have the card here on my desk. This is what we're going to be creating today. I really wanted to use some of the new products that we have from one of our latest collections, which is Cheering for You. And that includes this really pretty floral die. This is the Cosmos Duos, I should say. And also these clear A2 acetate cards. These are really neat because you can use them in a lot of different ways. And I really like being able to put something on the front and then have on the interior another like background or something, which then you can also write on if you'd like, or if you didn't want that to be where your sentiment to the person that you're writing to is, you could always put something on the back side, another panel, and then write on the back. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. So we're going to make this card today. And Heidi, you said you have all your pieces prepped. Do you have the little nested arch dome?
I do.
This is what we're going to start with first. This is our background. And I'm going to ink blend on top of our stamp and stencil mat because I really find this super helpful in keeping my paper in place while I'm ink blending so it doesn't move. As you can see, it's well loved, as is Heidi's. So I'm going to use two different colors of ink, Heidi. We've got heather and navy.
Nice.
I'm also going to be using our Simon Says Stamp large blending brushes to do the ink blending. So I wanted to start first with heather because I want to put a little bit of that purple here towards the edges, and then I'll add the night towards the outer edges just to kind of add a little bit of contrast there. So I'm going to start first with the heather ink. And I'll use my Simon blending brush to go ahead and pick that up. I like to come off onto my glass mat to just kind of get some of that excess ink off before I start coming in to my paper.
And I like to use the lid of my pad.
I love how we do things differently. It shows everybody there's no wrong way of doing something. So I'm going to go ahead and ink blend towards the center. I'm going just over halfway. I'll add night then afterwards. I really like this. The way the heather and night combine, they create a really neat like blue-violet color.
This is therapy in and of itself.
I love how, Heidi, you're doing it at the opposite end.
Oh, am I?
But no, that's what's so much fun is how everybody can, like, if you tweak something, if you see a card that you love on like Instagram or YouTube, and you do it slightly differently, it's fun to see how it can be the same card, but yet have a completely different look. There's no wrong way of creating. So now I'm going to take the knight and I'm going to overlap a little bit with my heather and blend these two together to fade the knight into the heather color. And then if I find that I want to soften that knight just a little bit more, I can come back in with a little bit of heather and just kind of feather that out. And it helps blend the two together really nicely. And I love that the Stampin' Stencil mat is holding everything in place. My paper's not shifting. I don't have to put my hand on the paper and then potentially get fingerprints on it. All right, I think I like that. Maybe soften this out just a little bit more. All right, I think for me, that's good.
I need some Tim Holtz grip mat underneath my...
Oh, they keep it from sliding?
Yeah. No, you don't have to go get it, Reed. He's been running around like a runner. But, you know, I'm not in my craft studio. I'm in the office studio.
So I'm going to fold my Stampin' Stencil mat in half to help me get my paper off. That way I don't bend the paper itself. The mat's super sturdy. It's not going to have any issues when you bend it. And I'll just wipe off any of that excess ink with
That's
baby
the other
wipe
thing we do
here.
differently. I never wipe the excess ink off my stamp and stencil mat.
Well, the only reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use the Stampin' Stencil mat again, because we're going to use that to hold our die cuts in place for the flower to ink blend those as well. So this is the flower die we're working with, the Cosmos Duos, and I've pre-die cut my pieces off camera, and I'm going to stick them to my mat so that way I can ink blend on top of them and not have to worry about touching them, getting fingerprints or anything else, and then they hold down on this mat really nicely. So I'm just going to stick them all there. The mat holds them really well. So I have all my pieces here. So we've got 2 flowers, and I'll show you
Hold on,
what
I
they're
gotta poke out my holes.
Okay, well, meanwhile, I'll show everybody how this is going to look. So we've got 2 flower pieces, and then you have 2 centers. The larger one goes on to the larger flower, and then the smaller center goes on the smaller flower. And then those will get glued down onto our stem. And then we'll glue all of that onto our card when we're ready to assemble. And Heidi's using our place and pierce tool to help poke those little inner pieces out of the die cuts. So once she has all of her pieces laid down on the mat, then we can go ahead and work on ink blending. And for the ink blending today, we're using 3 different colors of our positively saturated inks. We're going to use grapefruit, zest, and cabbage. So zest will be the main flower color. We'll use grapefruit for the centers, and then we'll use cabbage for the stems. So Heidi, which color would you like to use first?
I don't know if you're asking me this because you already know the answer, but Zest happens to be my absolute favorite Simon Says stamp, positively saturated ink pad. I love yellow and I love the Zest, so let's do Zest.
I was wondering if you picked the yellow. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and use our blending brushes again and ink blend on top of our die cuts. And this is one of my favorite ways to work with die cuts, is using them on white, basically die cutting them from white cardstock and then coloring them with another medium. So I've done it with watercolors, I've done it with inks. One thing I did recently was I created some distress smushed backgrounds, and then I die cut those to create like a variegated look for my die cuts, which was really cool. So there's a lot of ways you can use your die cuts, but using inks to color them is such a nice way to be able to give them a little bit of depth, some shading, and then you can get a very, very unique look that cardstock just won't give you. Now, of course, you could always die cut from some cardstock too, and then add some ink blending on top of that. I've done that as well. So I'm just coloring in the flowers and the stems. I used grapefruit for the centers. That's what Heidi's going to use as well. And I'm just going to wipe a little bit of this ink off the side here so I can use
Nina,
that.
while you're blending, a couple
Yeah.
questions.
Sure.
Are HDSA boxes available to international customers?
Yes.
That would be a question for Heidi.
Thank you. And then most of these questions are going to be for Heidi. The contents of the box. If I buy multiple boxes, will I get different stuff?
You're not guaranteed, if you buy multiple boxes, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get a different box. Each one is randomly assorted. We've got hundreds of different types of products and products to put inside. So there might be some overlap, but the odds are there won't be that much overlap. Is that a very non-direct? Do I sound like I'm running for president? I just gave an answer without giving an answer. Like, yes. Yeah, and time. Some of the boxes will be the same, but some of them will be different. We just can't guarantee, we won't have duplicates inside the same box. So if you pay $150 for a box, you'll get at least $300 retail of product. And I know you will because Reed was downstairs with calculators making sure, and I stuffed some $300 boxes. Oh yeah, well over. I stuffed some this morning and there's like, this ink pad is a bonus, this ink pad is a bonus, this die set's a bonus, this die set's a bonus, and the stamp set was a bonus. So those were the ones we were packing this morning. Yeah, good. We definitely made sure they're loaded. Thanks to those amazing vendors. Oh, and Advantus, I got to do a plug too for Advantus because today is Tim Holtz Advantus Halloween release and it's spectacular.
I'm ready for spooky season. Pumpkins, all the goodness. All right, back to you, Nina Marie.
All right. Thanks, Reed. So now I have all of my pieces colored. Looks like Heidi does too. So now I'm just going to carefully lift them off of the mat and set them over here.
I use my pokey tool for everything.
It's a handy little tool. And then the next thing I'm going to do is before we start assembly, I'm actually going to pick out my sentiment strip first because once we start assembly, then I just want to keep going with that. So I'm going to figure out what sentiment I'm going to use, and I'm picking out a greeting from our Bad Day Good Vibes sentiment strip set. This is one that was designed by Kathy Zilski, and it's got some really great greetings in it for people who maybe are having a tough time right now and you want to send them some love and make them feel better. This is like the perfect little sentiment strip pack for that. So I'm going to sort through here and figure out which one I want. And I'm thinking, I like the I'm sending you good vibes. I like that. So I'm going to use that one. Heidi, what do you think for your card?
Well, I cut out two. I cut out all good vibes your way.
Oh, I love it. We must
So
have been
we're
on the
thinking
same
about vibes, aren't we? And making it through
Yes.
today is enough. But since you're vibing, I'm going to vibe with you.
I like that plan. I do need to trim down the ends of mine here. I'm just going to use my Simon detail scissors for that. And we are going to use these scissors then as we go to glue everything together because I want to cut the bottom of my stem off when I glue it to my card. All right, so now we're going to bring in the rest of our pieces, which include our little arched dome and our A2 clear note card. This is where everything is going to get adhered to. And for the adhesive today, I'm using our Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue because this is really good for basically adhering anything. It is super strong and it dries clear, which I love. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this around the edges here. And then a little bit in the center. And this panel is going to get glued to the interior of the card. And I want to put it over towards the left edge. So I'm going to carefully bring this in here, and I'm actually going to kind of use the front of my card to help me get an idea of where this is going before I place it. Then once I'm happy with that, then I'm just going to kind of close the whole thing onto itself and give it a little press. But because we're using liquid glue, I can actually still shimmy this a little bit. So if I want to make sure it's really close and butted up against the side here, I can do that because that liquid glue has a little bit of fluidity still, so I can move it. And then we'll just let that dry. And that'll dry really really nice and strong. It won't fall off. And now we're going to work on assembling the flower. And I think I'm going to go ahead and glue the flower petals onto the stem first, and I'll glue the whole thing onto my card. But there's
Teacher,
no
am I going to
wrong-
get in trouble if I cut my stem?
No. I was just about to say there's no wrong way of doing this.
I saw in the chat, somebody's
I
asking
like-
how
I
they can
like
get a
being able-
box. Sorry, I'm like all over the place here, Nina. People are asking, and I must not have done a very good job of explaining. Go to simonsaystamp.com, and the boxes are available for purchase now. There is somebody in our chat linking under Simon Says Stamp name with the boxes. And remember, 100% of the net proceeds is going straight to HDSA, and all of the product has been donated into these boxes.
Woo!
I'll catch up.
You're
You do your
good.
thing.
Those boxes, I mean, all the brands that you mentioned, that's amazing how many donations we've received. That's awesome.
I guess I need to craft on camera.
No, you're doing good.
Did you
Yes.
glue down your stem, Nina?
I have not. I'm gluing everything onto the stem first, and then I'm going to glue the entire piece onto the card. But you could do it the other way if you wanted to.
I'm a rebel. What were you going to ask, Reed?
What is the name of the pad that you're using to color the flowers, the yellow and the orange?
That was grapefruit and zest.
Thank
And
you.
these are part of our positively saturated ink collection. All the inks that we use today are part of that collection. So we used grapefruit and zest for the flowers, as well as cabbage for the stem. And then for the background, we used a combination of night and heather. All right, so now, whoops, shifted my center a little bit. All right, so now that I have my flower assembled, I'm just gonna flip it over and put a few dots of glue on the back side here. I'm gonna make sure to get some on the stem because I wanna make sure the stem does not get lifted off the bottom of the card. And then we're gonna carefully flip this over and line it up along the side of the card here. And if you notice, I'm letting it overlap with the edge because I want to trim off the bottom so it's flush with the bottom of the card. So I'm just going to take then my Simon detail scissors and just snip that little end off. All right.
Oh.
So there's our card for the flower. And we're getting close to wrapping up here, but we do need to attach our sentiment. And then we have to add some gems because I feel like a card is never complete unless you add some sort of sparkle to it. At least that's my opinion, at least.
So,
All right.
Nina, why do I have all this glue oozing off of my stem and you don't?
I used I do have a little bit. If you look closely, I do have some small dots of glue around the edges, but I try to use very small dots, very small
There you
amounts.
Okay.
Microfiber to use.
Yes,
Well,
that's
that's
our
why she's the
Simon
teacher.
fiber cloth. Heidi, do you want to show that cloth that you were using?
Oh. This is the Simon microfiber cloth.
I love
It's a
that
handy
cloth.
dandy. I think are they $1.99? I don't know, they're great.
I'll let you
They're
know.
washable, get it moist. I promise I'm not trying to sell microfiber cloths today though, but I love it.
Bundle of
But I love
threes,
that they're
yeah,
black because they don't show anything.
Three for $5.97, so one is $1.99, correct?
All right, so
Alrighty.
the last thing I want to do is I want to add a few gems here. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of them out into this dish so I can find them. I'm going to use the teal color today, but this mix is our Simon Says Stamp Cool Tones Positively Dazzling Gems collection. And I'm going to use probably 5 because I like using an odd number. And I think I'll probably put one here, one here, one here, and then 2 up in the top left corner. I like to put my glue down and then bring the gems in. And then put that. What's so funny?
I just added a few extra. I love these. Well, now I'm gonna regret that as I get all nervous and sweaty on camera and can't pick them up. Okay, good.
You got this.
And then I'm just using our assignment assistant place and score tool for these. This is different than the place and pierce tool, and I'll show you that in a second here. This one has a wax tip and then a scoring tool, stylus at the end, versus the place and pierce tool. I gotta flip this gem over. Versus the place and pierce tool, it has a pokey end on one side, which is great for your die cuts, and then it has a latex tip, which that's great for sequins and other light embellishments, but it doesn't work as well for heavier gems. So that's where I would recommend using the wax tip place and score tool for picking up a heavier embellishment like these gems. Ooh, Heidi, I like how you used multiple colors.
Thank you. It's a story of my life. I remember in kindergarten
It's beautiful.
coloring outside the lines. But thank you, Nina. What a very, very pretty card. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
I love how they both turned out.
Look, we just did our first live class together. Oh my goodness.
We're
Thank you.
switching
It's
back
awesome.
to human faces. Oh.
Okay, human faces now. So, my card, thank you.
Cards up.
Nina, thank you for taking the time.
Reminds me of when we were at Create, and we had all the students hold up their projects when they were done.
This is so fun.
Thank you, Nina. All
My
of the supplies to
pleasure.
make this card are here at Simon, and if you want to rewatch on how to make the card again, you can just, that's the beauty of YouTube. When we're finished doing live, you can just rewind. But Nina, you've always been an inspiration for us, so thank you for taking the time to put this together and to teach for us. Thank you. Stick
My
with us.
pleasure.
We'll see you later, Nina.
Bye,
If you're
Nina.
watching live or on rewatch, stick with us because we have some other things coming along your way. We want to show you some of these crafty parcels we speak of. But before we move to the warehouse, I'm going to give you some information again. So these crafty parcels, all of the products are never used and new products. Some of them were released a few months ago, some of them were released a few weeks ago, but when I say new, I mean they've not been used. All of these products have been donated. If you purchase a $50 crafty parcel, net proceeds of that $50 will go directly to HDSA, the Huntington's Disease Society of America. If you purchase a $150 box, we will have over $300 retail of product in that box. So you can support a good cause while doing a good thing and doing a creative thing. Don't be afraid, I gotta get this out of my ear. Don't be afraid to get extra boxes. They make a great gift for your friends. Pardon?
You don't talk to Zach.
Oh, I will need that to talk to Zach. We'll put that back in a minute. Those boxes make a great gift. So if you have a crafty friend, you can give it to a crafty friend. You can get an extra for yourself. There won't be duplicates inside the box, but if you purchase 2 boxes, there could be some duplicates, but probably not too many. But we do have lots of product here donated by these fabulous vendors who I mentioned at the beginning, and hopefully we can put in the description of this YouTube video thanking these very, very, very generous vendors who have donated lots of product for those parcels. If you're watching us live, thank you, thanks a million. And if you're watching us on rewatch, we couldn't do this without you. We are going to be moving to video. Will Zach be dialing in on video? Okay, so Zach is going to dial in on video, and I'm going to put my earbud back in because
Zach, we can see you. I'm going to need to unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody.
There you go. All right.
All right.
So,
Well,
Zach,
I
tell us
am
what's going
live in the. Yeah, I'm live down in the warehouse. We've got our volunteers here, busy crafting your amazing parcels. As you can see, we've got lots of donated product down here, and we're packing them full with really cool supplies. So I'm just going to show you how much. This is all going in just the $150 box. You can see lots of supplies here. We've got everything from, thank you. We've got everything from Gina K. We've got some idea-ology. We've got some Ranger. And that's what it's going to come down to is a box just like this. You'll get a nice thank you note from us. But as you can see, this box is literally packed full with awesome stamp sets, embossing folders, dies, more stamps. It's really an awesome deal, and you're really helping a great organization, Huntington's Disease Society of America, an organization that I volunteer for as well, and they're really doing some great work here. So as you can see, tons of product with your box. So definitely go onto the website, simonstamp.com, get yours today while they last.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you. Zach not only volunteers for the Huntington's Disease Society of America, he is the president of our local chapter here in Central Ohio, which I serve on the board with Zach. That's how we met. And Zach also is a teammate here now at Simon Says Stamp for the past, oh my gosh, I think 2 years, a year and a half. Yeah, 2 years. So thank you, Zach, for making sure that this happens. And Reed, we've got great volunteers with HDSA or any Huntington's disease impacted families are here volunteering for the next 3 days, assembling these boxes for you, as well as a lot of volunteers from our Simon Says Stamp family are here. We had some kids here this morning, including my daughter, who were putting those boxes together for you. We want to make this a win-win for everybody, and this is a perfect way to make it a win-win, all thanks to these wonderful vendors who have donated product here for a great cause. So if there's any questions before I bid adieu, Reed, now's our time. Or did we answer all the questions in our live?
The last thing is just a reminder, boxes go quick, so don't hesitate. If you're going to purchase them, I would purchase them now.
I hope you heard that. The boxes go quick. There's 2 different boxes. One of them sold out in just a couple of days last year, and the other one sold out. I think the $150 one sold out in just a couple of days last year, and the $50 one, it took us a little bit longer because we made some more of those boxes last year. So thank you. We couldn't do this without your support. All of this is for a great cause. Thank you for watching us live today or on rewatch. We couldn't do this without all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon and keep crafting. It's good for all of us. Thank you.